Okay, let's get started here. We'll do our normal protocol. We'll start off talking about last week's game, and then we'll move on to our opponent coming up this week. I thought there was a challenge for us this weekend as far as the trip was a challenge. I think we matured from the trip. Obviously having to go on the road, conference opener, matures your football team pretty quickly. The elements weren't great for us, and I'm not making excuses. I'm kind of getting to the end of a means here, but we probably sweated more in the locker room than we had sweated all at any time because of the humidity, just getting ready for the game. But the means to my end there is that I thought our guys handled all that really, really well. I thought we didn't have one guy get a cramp. We didn't have one guy have to take himself out of the game for any type of heat exhaustion or any type of issues that came from the humidity or any of that stuff. And so to me, that told me a lot about the conditioning of our football team and where we are. And I think it's important for us to do that. And I think it was a tough road trip. I think we played a good football team. There's no doubt that Jacksonville's a good football team. There was some statistics on them on PFF about being one of the top 10 defensive football teams in the country last year on PFF. And so, we knew it was going to be a hard-fought football game for us. And the more I watched the film, the better I think our team played. So I don't have any qualms or questions about what kind of football team we have this year from this game at any time. Why we didn't win the game is because we turned the ball over 3 times and didn't cause any turnovers. A, that's one reason. B, we didn't finish our drives, right, and score touchdowns when we needed to finish drives. We weren't very good from the 45 to the 30, plus 45 to plus 30. We weren't very efficient at all in that area. And we gave up, a big sack and in a situation, and defensively didn't create enough negative yardage plays, right? So those are the categories that I look at. We didn't have very many penalties, but the penalties we had, were costly, or 2 costly penalties. One to keep 2 of them actually to keep drives alive that they ended up scoring on, right? And so those were costly penalties. And then we had the one hold. There was only 4 penalties. But in a game like that, you got to be pretty much flawless because it was a very competitive game. What I did, obviously we talked about starting fast. We made an attempt to start fast with the first drive and had the big play that ended up, being overturned, which was really unfortunate for us because one of the issues at most of our games, we have not enough replay cameras, and sometimes you want to have more replay cameras. And at this game, there was 11 replay cameras. So I've never been at a game, with any more since we've been here at UTEP. And obviously, through the replay camera, that they had seen something that overturned a huge, momentum shift in the game right there. And thus that led to them, us not responding. We went for it on 4th and 2 there at the 47-yard line, which was an aggressive play. But aggressive plays are good when they work, and they're not good when they don't work, right? And we didn't convert right there, and that ended up being a big part of the game because it got them on the scoreboard first instead of us on the scoreboard first in that area of the ball game right there. And as it comes to find out, though, every point was really, really crucial in that football game. Every possession was very, very crucial in that football game. And so because we didn't, do well in that setting and situation, before you know it, we're moving the ball, but we're not putting points on the board, and they get another touchdown, and now they're up 10-0, right? And so now we're fighting from a 10-0 deficit. The drive we put together at the end of the half was really good. We maximized every second of that drive and got the ball in the end zone and got momentum back, and felt really good going into halftime. Not happy being behind, but felt good that the game was right where we wanted it because we deferred to win the toss and come out in the second half and have an opportunity there to get a good drive going, and we started off really well. And then we had a pass play that was called, and it wasn't called into a great look. It wasn't a very good look on the pass play, but Gavin knows better, and he kind of forced it in there because he's has to hit the timing looks. But in retrospect, he knows, and we all know can be better decision making in that situation there. The back, dump the ball to the back or pull it down and run. But that was a big turnover in the game right there. Kind of that was to me a little bit of an unforced error, not a real completely unforced error, but it was dramatic because I thought we were driving and had a chance to take the lead. Game kind of went back and forth again there for a while, and then they got another score to take it to 17-7. But I was happy then again the way our team responded, fought ourselves back in, got a good drive, and scored on the long pass play. We felt like we had really good matchups of our receivers against their corners all day. We felt like we were, winning on that matchup. Obviously, on the first got called back, and then the second touchdown that we scored, we got a good matchup there with Kelly, and got the ball, got the game back under control. Kind of played good football after that. Put together a really good last drive with started I think with 4:40 left on the clock, and had a good drive going there, and got down to 3rd and 1, and we went up and got into a 2 tight end formation, and I gave Gav the green light that we could run the ball there as run the ball, but if he gets press coverage out there, we felt like we could run by their guys and go ahead and take a shot, because your thoughts in that situation are, you got a minute 20 to score, and the quickest way to do it is get them to really squeeze down and try to condense your run game on 3rd and short. So we got a really good matchup there, and got pretty much the same play we had run earlier that we threw for the touchdown. And Kelly had his guy beat by a couple yards on that, and the ball just kind of floated over his shoulder. He had to whip his shoulders around, didn't make the play, but almost made the play, which would have probably closed out the game right there. And then on 4th down, again, they got in a real heavy set, and we ran motion, and nobody ran with the motion. And so we had 2 guys that they didn't run with, so they completely busted defensively. But our 2 receivers ran into each other because the one receiver got collisioned real hard coming off the line of scrimmage, but there's actually 1 defender over the top of 3 guys on that play right there, and we just didn't get it converted. So that was the biggest play of the game. But obviously, like everybody says, in games like that, there's lots of big plays because every play was important, and a tough way for us to lose on the road, a 0-week game, a conference game. So tough loss for us. But the more I watch it, like I said before, the more I see the kind of team that we are and the kind of team that we're going to be. And so I think we're going to be a more mature team when we hit the road next time. I think our team grew from that. It's funny, I've had plenty of seasons like that where you see your team playing, you're like, you know what, we might not have won, but I think our team got better, and it was a real good road test for us. So, that's where I think we are right now, and obviously we got to clean up the things I talked about that caused us to lose that game and get better at those things. So, talking about Jacksonville, talking about Incarnate Word now, leaving the Jacksonville game, but I'll open to questions after this. Incarnate Word is an interesting study for us. We just got their depth chart here at noon today, and they pretty much don't have very many guys back from last year's team. It's pretty much new coaching staff, whole new team, very transfer-oriented team, whether it be junior college, but mostly 4-year transfer players on their team. And again, last year they had a tremendous football team. A team that would have finished in the upper level of Conference USA, a team that went deep into the playoffs, and was a really good football team. And this year they got a lot of really talented players on their team. They got a quarterback that's a Texas A&M transfer that had success at Texas A&M. They got running backs that have had success at other 4-year schools. They got plenty of talent across the board at every position. And will be a team, just because it's their first game and they got a bunch of new players playing together, it makes it a little bit tougher preparation for a coaching staff for us to prepare for the game. But we know they're loaded with a bunch of D1 talent and got a D1 talented football team. And so the preparation for them will be one that we have to go back and study a lot of film of them at other places. We have a app now where we can go back and punch a player's name and watch every play that player's taken in his college career. And so that's a nice app to have right now when you're with the new transfer portal that we're dealing with. And so we'll do a lot of personnel study on them that way, and then schematically we'll study all the things that the coaches had done at the previous schools that they had been at. So can't really answer a whole lot about them more than that part of it for everybody talking about Incarnate Word, but I know they're a very talented team. So I'll open up to questions from there.
I guess it's sort of that unusual dynamic of your second game and your first game. Is that a bigger advantage for you or them? I mean, you just talk about preparation.
That's a great question, and that's what we're going to deal with all through our first few games right here. As we go through our first 4 games, they have more games to watch on us, but we have more games played. And so the dynamic there, everybody is, what's the advantage, right? And I'm not sure what the advantage is. I know in a game like this, where they have a whole new coaching staff and all transfers, I was very anxious to get the depth chart because they've already seen our depth chart, right? They've already seen us play. They know what our depth chart looks like this year. So it was very important for me to get that and get it quickly so I could get a good study started on them. So in this game, we don't know as much about a team as we would know normally because of all those factors that play into it.
Hindsight, obviously, 2020, if you could have one of those third, fourth ones back, would you run the ball with Hankins and Franklin?
Oh, there's 2 schools of thought there. I really, it was a calculated decision, but it didn't work. But the calculation was, with the time getting to where it was getting to, I thought we needed to move and get some yardage as quickly as we could, and I felt like that was our chance to get big plays. Because what I felt like, just to explain to everybody what goes on in the coach's mind, is if we get that first down, now they're going to go back into their umbrella type of look. So I was playing to win. I wasn't playing to tie. You know what I mean? I wanted to go win that game, and that's aggressiveness. If I was playing for the tie, I would have ran the ball. You know what I mean? But I was playing to win, and I felt our best way to win it right off the get-go instead of having to go into overtime was to try to get them condensed down to stop the run game on 3rd and 4th and short. So that was my thoughts there. So I've thought it over. It didn't work, but I wouldn't do it any other way if I had another chance.
Coach, you go back the last couple of years, and on those kind of short yardage plays, you often would throw in Calvin Brown. Obviously, you don't have him anymore. Is that kind of an area that's maybe a weakness for you guys, not having that extra option there? And just what did he bring that you don't have right now?
Oh, that's a good question. I feel like we could. I really do feel like we could have hammered out the first down in that situation. That wasn't my thought. My thought was a minute 20 left, running out of timeouts. If we get the first down now, we're going to get into trying to maybe force some throws into some tough areas. And I felt like our best way to score a touchdown in that situation was to try to do what we did. That's why we did it that way. And kind of played out that way, but it didn't happen. We got the guys open that we needed to get open in both situations, but it didn't play out the way I wanted to. And then, having quarterback run, I think the best way to address that question is having quarterback run in our offense is really, really critical to our offense, and it's really good. And not to say, I don't want to give away our strategies, but for us to be as good as we need to be, we need to run the quarterback as much as we possibly can, and we need to do that moving forward because it just creates more issues for people.
Just as a primary play caller, I guess just what happened on those last 2 plays, is it like a confidence hit, or just how do you just move on with the,
Yeah, they didn't work, so they're not good calls, right? It's just that's the way it goes. But again, being conservative or being aggressive, I chose to be aggressive in that situation. And when it works, you win the game. And when it doesn't work, you lose the game. And that's just part of everything that you deal with. That's our job. That's part of our job. That's the decisions that you have to make in a period of time. And you try to make them on a lot of experience that you have, and then also understanding the defense that you're going with and what's going to happen if you get that first down and what's going to be the next few play calls after we get the first down, right? They're going to get back in and try to make you, if you want to score touchdowns, they're going to try to make you really thread some needles in there. Because, if there was 3 or 4 minutes left, it might have been a whole different story for us. But with a minute 20 and no timeouts left, that goes pretty quick, because the clock was going to start running pretty fast, after we got our first down right there. So,
both you and Gavin use the word forced. How does he limit those forced throws, and how can he grow from this moment right here, knowing that was something that you wanted to work on?
Yes, yeah. I think where he's matured is he made some decisions in the game to throw the ball away when he was on the run, where maybe in previous, just as he continues to grow as a quarterback, where he would try to force those throws on the run a little bit. And this one, I still feel like, obviously he knows that's what we got to continue to prove on. You can't just try to thread it in that needle, and that's the thing he's got to be very careful of, because he's got such great arm strength, but you can't throw it in too tight of windows right there. And so it was 2nd and 11 in a really close fought ball game, and he just got to make better decisions on that in that type of situation for sure. So we keep working with it. We really looked at it in film, there wasn't much of a window there to put the ball into right there. So, he's just got to be better.
Coaches, I guess looking at conversions in a general sense, not just those last couple of plays, but the entire game, you went 1 from 3 or 4 downs and 3 or 12 of
Yes.
downs. Just going back to kind of that depth with not having Calvin Brownhills there on that 4th down, is that kind of a difficult thing for you guys now, not having that extra kind of guy to bring in just in a general sense?
Oh, on the jumbo stuff, there. Yeah, I think we're still okay, Rachel, on that part of it. I think Gavin can execute some of some of those things. But you brought up a really good point. I think I might have failed to mention that we were horrible on 3rd downs, and they were really good on 3rd downs. We got our butts beat on 3rd downs, and that, we out yardaged them, and a lot of things we did a lot better than them. The 2 things that we didn't do better than them was turnovers and 3rd down, right? Those are the 2 things that we did not do well enough in that game. So we got to be much better in 3rd downs, and we got to be better defensively in 3rd downs too. Even though 280 yards and 17 points is a really good effort, there's still things that we got to address and get better on. Think about if we would have been better on 3rd down on both sides of the ball, would have been a win for us for sure.
How encouraging was it just to see, a lot of high expectations for Kelly and Kari kind of lived up to it first game? I guess is that encouraging?
It was good to see that, to see the way he played and made plays, and obviously 2 plays that he almost made that would have really changed, probably gave us a pretty significant victory. But nothing that he didn't do well on either one of those plays. But it just shows that's why I gave Gavin the green light, and it was my call, because to throw that fade ball on, I would have done the exact. That's why I called it and put it out there, because he ran right by the guy, right, and so he's really a good weapon for us, and he's hard to cover. And we knew, after he'd caught the 1 touchdown that got called back, and then the other one where he just ran right by their guys, right, that we felt comfortable with him doing it again. So his speed and athleticism, I think when you see it and then the defenses see it, until you see it in person, it's really impressive for him to do that and the way he played. So he started to make plays, though. We knew he had that talent. Now he's got a year of experience, so it was really exciting to see him step up and do some really good things for us, And I was really pleased. There's a ton of positives again, right? This was supposed to be a really close game, and it was a really close game, and it was a dogfight, and we, should have won it. Everybody knows that, but we didn't. But Torrance Burgess played extremely well. Mike Franklin played really, really well. We got some of those younger running backs that we thought were going to be talented. They did some, really, really good stuff in the game there. So I was really pleased with that part of it. And I thought, A.J. Owens played really good on the defense. One of our new guys on the defensive side of the football, James Neal, had, I think, 10 or 12 tackles, at the other linebacker position. Obviously, Tyrese played well. Kobe Hilton went down, early in the game. And that affected a play for us later in the game. Not having Kobe in there, he should be fine for this week, but it was an injury that took him out most of the game. So we had some other guys step up and do a good job in there too. So a lot of guys played really good football. I mean, it was a really well played football game from both football teams, and we just didn't do the things we needed to do to win the game. But there's a lot of positives from our football team on what happened last Saturday.
Incarnate Word, obviously you mentioned the coach. It's their first game, but it's their coach's first game as the head coach. You've been in that position before as your first game as a head coach. But how difficult is that of a situation? What nerves are there when you are kind of making?
Yeah, it's nerves, and his first game's going to be against a group of 5 opponent, stepping up, and obviously he was part of that really good football team, and so a lot of credit to him about what they did, because when I turned on the film of last year's team, I'm like, my goodness gracious, these guys are super talented. I mean, they had done a great job of building a really good program, and now that he's head coach, he's going to continue to do what they've done. I think Incarnate Word is a place that people like to go. San Antonio is a good town. I think that program is definitely, it was really good to give it to somebody on the staff with all the success that they had there. And I think, his first game, I'm sure he's excited. They were a very, very explosive offense last year and then had a ton of defensive talent. So I think they're the same football team this year. They got an explosive offense with a good quarterback, good running backs, talented receivers, and they brought in some talented defensive players. So I think he's going to have a good team and do a really good good job with what he's doing because he's been part of the process of turning around there. So I think, obviously for his first game, he's probably really excited to have a chance to play us, and we'll be looking forward to it. But I'm sure he'll be nervous like everybody is for their first. My first head coaching game was in my hometown in the Eddie Robinson Kickoff Classic against Ohio State. So that was my first head coaching game. So I remember that. That was pretty interesting, first head coaching game.
So, Coach, on that first fourth down you won the first quarter, we've all seen that playbook where you slip the tight end out of that bunch.
Yeah.
Is there a second option on that? I mean, if he's covered, what he did?
Yeah, the fullback came out in the flat, and he was open, and that's the guy they grabbed, Brett. They grabbed him and held on to him, and then they let him go, and then Gavin got hit from the backside, which shouldn't have happened because we had it. It's really a fully protected play, and then they grabbed him again. But the tight end got smothered because we knew they'd be keying the tight end because it was kind of a little derivative off of the play that we had run in the bowl game. But the key guy was the fullback, which was Judah, and he snuck right out, and number 23 grabbed him and held him and then let go and then grabbed him again. But the official told me he didn't think it was enough to call a penalty on it, So if you watch the TV copy, you guys will see what I'm talking about. But that was unfortunate because he was busting out into the flat wide open.
Coach, Buzz missed his first field goal, and then I guess there was thoughts that maybe you could take him in at the end there to tie it and send it to OT. Obviously, that's not the way you win.
Right.
Where does your confidence kind of lie with him right now?
My confidence is good. If it was Gavin, I probably would have kicked it, But again, in that situation, I mean, that obviously crossed my mind. I didn't want to put one play to tie the game on a freshman, right? I wanted to put two plays on seniors and experienced guys to win the game, right? So to me, that was kind of an easy. I said to myself, do we want to put it on our best players, Kelly and Gavin and Tyron to win a game, or do I want to put it on a freshman to tie a game? You know what I mean? And then he doesn't execute. 41-yard percentage of 41 yards is not a real high percentage, and so that was kind of the process there. But it's not that I lack confidence in him because the 42-yarder he kicked really good, and he just missed it by 2 feet to the right. But it just was like, let's don't put it on a freshman when you can put it on some of your best players. So that was the thought process behind that.
Coach, you mentioned running backs a little bit ago. Obviously, we know there's certain efficiency numbers you like to hit in
Yes.
the run game. Just how did you assess this game, even though maybe the numbers weren't
That's a
there?
great question. We hit more goals in this game offensively than we did in a lot of our wins last year. We rushed the ball for 59% efficiency, which I think maybe our goal is 55% efficiency in the run game. We had 59% run efficiency in the run game this game, and I think 2 or 3 of our wins last year were below 55% run efficiency. So we didn't bust any big ones, but efficiency is kind of 4 yards on first down, half the distance on second down, and converting third downs. That's your efficiency, or converting fourth downs. That's how you measure whether a run's efficient or not. And so our efficiency in the run game was pretty good. And I felt like, on that last drive, I felt like we were in the fourth quarter winning the game physically, and I was proud of that part of it. So I think our line started to get into a groove there, a little bit different of a preparation with how they move things around. But even early in the game, I thought there was a couple plays where we were just knocking them around, really, really good up front. So when I went back and watched, I thought our offensive line played really well. I might not necessarily thought that with the naked eye, but after I watched the game, I thought they played a really good game, offensive line wise.
Yeah, the 1-2 punch of Dion and Torrance in the backfield.
Yeah.
It like it really was working for you guys.
Yeah.
How excited are you for that?
I'm really excited about that, and Mike too, because Mike has been banged up all camp, and just minor injuries, and then he came in and played really well too. So I'm really looking forward to those 3 guys doing good things for us. But Torrance has been so good in camp and spring, and he really looked dynamic because he's really a slasher, and he got hit. Now I'm telling you, 25 for Jacksonville State can hit, and Torrance got hit as hard as he's going to get hit all year, and did a really good job, his first start. So I was really pleased with what he did.
How do you scout their defense? I mean, I guess their offense could be similar to what they were last year.
Yeah, their defense, Brett, is an easy scout for us as far as knowing what they're going to do. As far as schematically, the hard part's going to be they do what they do extremely, extremely well. and they have good players because it's actually North Texas's defense coming over minus Phil Bennett, but with Jim Gush and Phil's son and a lot of the guys that have been with Phil. Jim, the coordinator there, was with Phil at Kansas State, and then with Phil when he got the SMU job, and then with Phil at North Texas, and I think wherever else Phil Bennett had been before. So it's North Texas's defense this last few years, schematically, with Jim's touches on it. But at least we have something to base off of that way.
You just learn from Saturday and just have the guys grow from it. Do you have some similar situations last year?
Sure.
Where tough, tight losses. How do you grow from it?
Yeah, you need to grow from it. It seems like when we do lose, most of the time they're tight, tough losses, right? You know what I mean? That seems to be the nature. And what's going to be really unusual this year, guys, is that I think that's college football. We were talking about the average college game last weekend was 2 hours and 45 minutes, right? And the average special teams taken was like 8 snaps less of special teams play. So the whole dynamic of college football means the games are going to be shorter and the games are going to get closer and closer. It's just football talk right here. But it's going to make those games really, which is kind of our MO anyway, right? Where our games are always really close and competitive, it seems like. And so for us, it comes down to being better on third downs. It comes to winning third downs. It comes to finishing drives, the efficiency of those things, because we're so good in time of possession, right? Again, we're 34 minutes. But just think if we were good on third downs Saturday, how much we might have held the ball for 40 minutes, right? And so to us, that's the learning that we do. We got to be precise in certain situations on the field at a higher level for us to win the close games. And so that's what we focused on yesterday when we met. What we're focusing on, today in practice is let's be precise in those type of situations that I just talked about. That's the self-analysis of what we gotta do better to win the close games, because I'm sure there's going to be lots of them down the stretch here. Because as you saw from just the three games that were played in our conference this week. Again, the other conference game was another game really similar to ours, right? I didn't get to see it, but from what I've heard, I haven't got to watch it on film yet, but I will, is that went down to like the last drive of the game too, so I think that's kind of going to be the MO. I think our conference is, especially with the new clock thing, our conference, every game is going to be a dogfight. So we got to make sure we find ways to win those.
What's your depth chart at punt return? Are you a little worried at all about having Tyron back there?
No. I think Tyron's a guy that worried about him just because of injuries. You think that'd be the only reason I'd worry about Tyron back there? Yeah, with injuries, having him back there is the only thing I'd be concerned about. He's pretty dynamic as a returner, and so to help his NFL stock, we really need to use him some as a returner. So he should be pretty dynamic back there.
Who else you got?
Torrance. Yeah.
Do you have an idea of how long Marcus might be out for?
No, not sure yet. It's not anything long term. Yeah, it's not anything in the leg that would be something that would be a long-term injury.
We've talked NIL with you before. We know that UTEP's NIL for football is kind of in its infancy.
Right.
And Cardinal Ward has an NIL for football. We also have 9 former Power 5s that are in their starting lineup on both sides of the ball. So for a school like this that's aggressive with their NIL, how big can that be, just turning their program around overnight?
It's college football now, Cap, and it's people, as I talk to more and more head coaches, they obviously did a good job with that. That's why they were able to kind of be the type of team that they were last year, too. They were able to keep a lot of those kids that because they've developed a good, a good NIL. And there's a lot of programs around the country that are doing a good job with that. And like you said, we're doing better things. We're getting more and more people to jump in, but we're at the very, we're not at the level that we need to be at with NIL. That's an important step for our program to be able to use it the way it's meant to be used, use it the way it's meant to be used and use it in the right ways that way. But they've done a good job with that, and that's why they've been able to get the kind of talent that they have right now. They have a lot of talented players through using that pool, so that's definitely a fact that puts that out to us for sure. So,
Calzada, the quarterback, 2 years ago when he was at A&M, beat Alabama at home. Obviously, I don't think he played much about it, but when you see a guy that has that on his track record, beating Alabama, does that break you up a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, he's a good player. I mean, A&M recruited him because he's a good player, right? I mean, the talent's there for him, and I'm sure he's excited. They got a great offense. You know, he's coming in. They got a neat offense for him to be a part of, and he's looking forward to being a part of that. And that's kind of the MO for a lot of their players right now. A lot of their secondaries, guys that have started in Power 5 places, you know, and they got them on their team right now. Iowa State starters and a lot of guys that have played at some Power 5 schools as well. So they got quite a bit of talent that they've been able to, and that's kind of their thing right now. As Steve mentioned, a lot of that's stimulated by the NIL money that they have there as well. And I'm not sure how they're stimulating it. It might be some personal donors or what they're doing, you know, but something that's helped their program.
Kind of piggybacking off of that, on the defensive side, Stephen Parker was a very highly regarded player out of high school, went to Kansas.
Right.
Now he's kind of anchoring that defensive line for Carnegie.
He's a great player. I mean, we've done our research on Steven. We think he's a tremendous, tremendous player. He's good enough to play for anybody in the country. We were able to ask people that played against him last year, people that have recruited him, people that have coached him, and have got a good profile on him. So he's definitely as good a player. He's as good a player as will play all year at that defensive end position for him. So he's definitely somebody we got to focus on and be ready for.
Anything else for Coach?
All right, thanks everybody. Appreciate it. Yeah.